Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Triangle Blue Velvet Season 1, Episode 3, and the name of this episode is Breakthrough. This was a damn good episode, y'all. Shout out to Kenyon O'Brien for writing such a good scene. This episode was really good, and we're really starting to see that there's, even more growth going on between Brandon and Jabril's relationship. But before I get started, let me offer my love and condolences to everyone that was affected by the tragedies in Las Vegas, as well as the ones who were affected by the hurricanes, Harvey, Irma, Jose, and Maria. And if you can get any kind of relief or any kind of support whatsoever, please do so, because our fellow man needs our help, and we owe an obligation to be there for one another. Okay, so let me get started with this review. The episode opens up, Brandon and Jabril are on their way to see Dr. Jim. Before they get into the office, Brandon gets a call from his father trying to get him to come to D.C. He just I don't give a damn. I'm not trying to be a part of this. Just leave me out of it. He hangs up the phone. Then Jabril is letting them know that, look, what's going on? You really need to talk about this because obviously it's affecting you. And we can see that Brandon is just emotionally and mentally disturbed by this whole situation, especially what we saw on the last episode when he finally met his half-brother August, and then also learned about the revelations that, his father stepped out on his mom. So all of this anger and frustration is just brewing inside of Brandon, but Brandon is being very dismissive and doesn't want to talk about it. So they finally go in their session with Dr. Jim. Dr. Jim immediately can tell that something's bothering Brandon, but Brandon is not trying to open up about it. And Jabril is even trying to get him to talk about it, but he keeps telling Jabril to drop it. Don't do this shit up in here. Let's just come here for what we came here for. We're here about us. What I'm going through right now has nothing to do with us. But Dr. Jim is very sharp because he pretty much checked him, and he was like, well, actually, it does, because this is your partner. And you not dealing with this is not only affecting our session, but it's also affecting your connection with Jabril, because obviously Jabril's concerned, and you're not letting him in. So he said, let's take a breath and try again. So Brandon, what's going on? Brandon didn't want to say anything, so Jabril tells him that, look, obviously he's not going to tell you, so I guess I will. Brandon just found out that his father cheated on his mom, which resulted in a child, and this child, August, actually showed up on our doorstep and told him everything. So we actually see that, this has definitely upsetted. We can definitely tell that this is still getting to Brandon, and then it gets to the point where Brandon was like, well, Jabril, this is easy, and Jabril's like, well, this can't be easy for me. I mean, you're used to dealing with a dysfunctional family. This is just totally new to me. And Jabril's like, yeah, I get that, because he knows how dysfunctional dad reports are. But then also Jabril waked up Brandon and told him straight up that, look, it's you keeping things to yourself is the reason why we're here in the first place. So then we get a scene that back home, we can see that there's a lot of tension between Brandon and Jabril, and eventually it leads to this argument. And pretty much, Brandon is still saying that, look, why did you open up about that in therapy? Because what I'm going through has nothing to do with us. And then Jabril was like, yeah, just like your mother's death had nothing to do with us, just like you being overwhelmed by school had nothing to do with us. Like, you keep keeping things from me. Like, this is why we're having the problems, because I need you to be open and honest with me, but you like to keep things inside, and you internally go through things by yourself, and this is what led you to go down the path that you went. This is what caused you to go down the path you went down, with you lying and, taking money out of my account, and then you getting caught up under Alex. But But then Brian was like, but we didn't do anything. He's like, yeah, but you put yourself in a position where you could have done something, and then not only that, you lied about it. So, what do you think? So pretty much, Brandon was like, so pretty much Jabril was like, well, yeah, you made yourself vulnerable to the situation, and it could have led to something, and on top of it, he pretty much, you pretty much had you addicted to drugs and all that shit, so, yeah, I was mad as if he did cheat on you, because in a way, he made you vulnerable to the situation, and the main thing about it is that I trusted you, and you fucked up again. And he was like, and then like immediately this set Brandon off. Brandon was like, oh really? I fucked up? What about you messing with Derek? And then like Jabril was like, yeah, I admit that. I did that shit out of spite. Because I thought that you and Alex had something to do with it. I thought you and Alex actually did something. But then when I found out that you and Alex actually didn't have sex, I felt like shit afterwards. But yeah, I did that intentionally to hurt you. No apologize for that. But then he kind of brings up that, why don't, and he was saying like, yeah, you want to talk about me doing something out of spite, what about what you did about talking about Ronnie being alive? And then he was like, and then all of a sudden it all started to come back to Brandon because he kind of forgot about it. He's like, I don't think I was supposed to tell you that. Like, yeah, Brandon, you weren't supposed to say nothing because Mason told you not to say anything, especially to Kiko, but you literally threw it up in Kiko's face. And Jabril reminded him of that, and he said that you remember you actually called off you actually called off our engagement because you thought I had something to do with her death. And then he was like, oh yeah, did you know that she had Eve's son the whole time? Yeah, Victor had her babysitting little JJ. So all of this could have been solved by now if I would have known about Ronnie being alive a lot sooner. But Brandon was like, look, I had nothing, I knew nothing about this, because if I did, you think I would have kept this to myself? And then Jabril was like, well, I don't know, because at the time you weren't in your right mind. and then Brandon was like, oh, you really want to come after me, Jabril? What about you? You still want some revenge shit and all that? And then Jabril's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, you putting Rob in jail. He said, and then Jabril was like, that has nothing to do with me. He's like, that's bullshit. You're the reason why he's in there. He's like, yeah, and the person that he's covering for is keeping him there. That ain't my problem. But if anything, I don't even blame him. I should blame you because you did that out of spite. You see how that works? I was like, oh, damn, Jabril. Oh, you got him real good. But then Brandon was like, fuck you. And then Jabril was like, yeah, okay, fuck me and let me the fuck go. So I was like, damn. So we actually see that there's still a lot more work to be done, because they still have this issue with communicating. And I can relate to Brandon in some aspect of that because sometimes I do that too. Like when I'm really going through things, I kind of shut down and I don't let people in, I've learned, over the years that sometimes vocalizing what you're going through takes that weight off of you. And we're actually seeing that this is like a real serious issue between Brandon and Jabril because they both keep things from each other. But, we actually see that, in the next scene, he was actually surprised to see that that Jabril was actually in their bed. And he's like, I'm surprised to see you in bed. And he's like, yeah, I'm here. And then Brandon apologizes to Jabril. And he's saying, and then pretty much he says that, look, somebody, and then Jabril talks about, like, look, somebody that I trusted took advantage of me, and sometimes I feel like, this situation that we're going through takes me back to that. And he was, and if anything, Brandon says, I'm nothing like Neil. And I'm like, you're right, you're not. You're definitely, yeah, you're not as off as Neil is. But then Jabril lets him know that, look, this situation kind of took me to that place, and I really want us to work, but we have to be honest with each other, and we need to communicate better. And we also seeing that Jabril also talks about that at first he was against therapy, but now he's liking therapy because it's actually getting them to open up, and they're starting to see more that they have some work to do. So then we actually get the morning after, it was actually like in the afternoon, and they decide to go get some afternoon delight. They start, kissing and tasting each other, and then their phone starts ringing, and the phone was ringing loud, and it was Allura. Allura wants Jabril to come and, keep Lenny busy for about an hour, who's her, and we actually meet Lenny. And she says, can you come and keep Lenny busy for an hour because I have some things to tie up at the office. And to meet him at this coffee shop. So they hang up, and, Jabril puts the phone on vibrate, and they get back to making love. And I was like, it was great because I think them having that moment and then them finally coming together and actually realizing that they need to be truthful and honest with each other brought back the love and the passion. So I was like, yes, Team Brandon Jabril all day. Next, we get a scene where Jabril meets up with Lenny. Now, Lenny is a new character. He's actually, someone that Allura dated in the past, but they're now rekindling their relationship. And we actually see that Jabril and Lenny actually got along, because they were actually happy to see each other, and Lenny definitely knows about everything that was going on between, Jabril and Davenport Industries, about him being outed as CEO, and they talk about that, and he also knows about, Brandon and Jabril's relationship because Allura told him about that as well. And they pretty much catch up, and we see that, Lenny is he definitely is a businessman. And he was like talking about, back in the day, me and Allura had like this, we had a really bad breakup, but we still had love and we still had admiration for each other. It's that, before it was just the wrong time for the both of us, and things really didn't work out. But, I really love Allura, and I've always loved her, and I really want to make it work this time. So this is cool because, we actually see that now Allura has a love interest. And so far I see that Lenny's actually a really cool guy, but we're still going to get to know him later on. So we're pretty much got a new story that's going to be brewing. So then Jabril gets a text, and Allura is still going to be tied up. So he has another hour. And Jabril was like, look, I ain't going to be sitting in this coffee shop the whole time, so let's just head on to the house or whatever. So him and Lenny leave. Next we get a scene, Allura and Brandon are at the house. They done ordered food and everything. They're waiting for their men to show up. We see Jabril and Lenny come up in there. They went from the coffee hour to the happy hour. They came up in there tore up. And, they both come in there and, like, they had a little comic relief because it's like, so what we're going to do, we're going to go out, we're going to get something to eat. And Allura's like, we ordered food. And then, like, Lenny's like, yeah, we ready, come on. And she's like, fool, would you calm the hell down? We just ordered it, damn. But then it was great to see that because we saw both couples interacting with each other, and we saw nothing but love and admiration and respect amongst both couples. And it was cool. We actually see that Allura and Jabril actually have a conversation, and, because Lenny went to go smoke a cigarette, and, Brandon went to go get some more food, so that left time for Allura and Jabril to talk, and they pretty much have, like, kind of, like, have, like, a heart-to-heart with each other, and she was saying that, look, me and Lenny are in a good space, because she also brings up Ronaldo. Y'all remember Ronaldo from Davenport Diaries? That was like the secret assassin that wooed her and swept her off her feet. But then she said that her being caught up under Ronaldo's spell, if anything, the reason why she was so vulnerable to that is because she really missed Lenny. And she finally came to terms with that she wanted Lenny back into her life. But then she says that right now we're taking things slower and that we're being very cautious and that we're trying to work through our relationship. So, and then we also see that Jabril is, admits that, he's liking therapy. And all of a sudden Allura's like, oh, really? Isn't this a change of events? Because we knew how first Jabril was like dead set against therapy, but now he's seeing that therapy's working. So they pretty much had like a little heart-to-heart about that, and I thought that was cool. And then we get a scene where Brandon and Lenny, they have like a shot or whatever, and this was to the, fighting for what we want and for who we love. And And pretty much, Lenny pretty much tells Brandon that, it seems that, things are starting to improve between you and Jabril. And, Brandon was like, well, yeah, and it seems that, you and Allura are ahead of us because you guys look like you're solid. And he was like, yeah, we got a lot to work through, but he's like, I'm trying to get her to stick with me. But he says, well, the thing is, you guys look great. You guys look like you're in a good place. You guys look like you're in a great place. And Lenny was like, time will tell. So we're seeing that, there's definitely going to be a storyline with Lenny and Allura. So definitely we need to stay tuned and see how that's going to turn out. Then, afterwards, Lenny and Allura leave, but then Jabril was like, call an Uber, we're going out for more drinks. And then Allura was like, more drinks? And she was like, this is personal time, girl, get up out of here, gone. And then the next thing we see, both Brandon and Jabril are drunk. They pretty much holding each other up going up the stairs. Jabril's like, shh, we gotta keep it down. We're gonna wake up Jarrell. And he's like, Jarrell's not. And then like Brandon's like, Jarrell's not here. And he's like, oh man. And it just takes Jabril kind of to the place. Even though they're drunk, they're still conscious to an extent. And he was like, man, this is all my fault. If only if Jarrell wasn't here and Jabril wouldn't have got shot, so he's blaming himself. And then Brandon's like, it's not your fault, Jabril. You can't blame yourself for that. It's messed up, but you can't blame yourself. And we even see that even while they are drunk as hell, the love is still there. So I was so here for it, and it was beautiful to see that you and your man could get drunk as hell together, but you guys still got each other's backs, even though both of y'all are stumbling all over the place. Then they had their next session with Dr. Jim, and Dr. Jim immediately sees that there's some improvement there, and he asks them, like, so what happened after the session? He says that, look, and both Brandon and Jabril admitted that, look, things were pretty bad between us, but we decided to work through it, and Brandon apologizes to Dr. Jim for the way he acted the last session. But then Brandon's like, look, I just realized that whatever it is I'm going through, I'm going to have to face it head on. I can't, just keep internalizing things and shutting down. I need to face whatever it is that I'm up against. So this, he actually sees that, wow, there is some progress going on. And then pretty much Dr. Jim was like, this is a good thing because this is showing that, because in all actuality, ignoring the problem doesn't make it go away, and avoiding it causes stress with yourself and with your marriage. So then Dr. Jim actually admitted that, look, I was very skeptical about you guys at first, but I'm not going to lie. I really am impressed with the progress that you both have made. This is really good. But there's a lot more work to be done, but, we got to keep, as long as you guys stay on track, you're going to make it. So we actually saw that was a good scene. Then we get a scene where they're back at the house, Jabril's on the phone with Brittany, and he's saying that, look, I'm not going to have Brandon walk into this blindsided, so you need to let him know what's going on, or I will. And then Brandon walks up and he's like, who was that? And he said, it was your sister. They wanted to plan this surprise, birthday dinner for you. If anything, you should be getting a call from her confirming all of that. And, Brandon's like, wow, happy family, huh? But he's like, but hey, we can go. And Jabril's like, what? He's like, yeah, we can go. I might as well face it now than later, so let's just go. He's like, let's just get this over and done with. And then he was like, Jabril's like, okay, cool. And then afterwards, I have a special trip that I planned for both of us. And he was like, well, hell, can we just skip the dinner? He was like, no. You need to face this, and after we meet with your parents, we'll go on the trip. So I'm like, I wonder how that dinner's gonna turn out. But yeah, he's like, yeah, we just need to kind of, I just need to face this, and I can't keep shutting down from it. So I'm like, it's good because we're seeing that Brandon has made progress to actually deal with his issues rather than internalize them. But then he also mentions that he's also going to go back to work tomorrow because he asked Jabril where was his work bag, and he was saying that, you know, but then Jabril was like, are you sure you're ready to do this? He's like, yeah, I might as well face it. You know, I can't keep avoiding everything. I just need to face what I need to face, and, you know, I need to get back to work. Then he was like, I need to catch you up on something, Brandon. So Brandon sits down and he lets them know that he bought that building on 3rd Avenue. And he was like, well, why did you buy it? He's like, well, that was my only way of getting Alex out of the building. So, you know, Alex is gone, but then, you know, but don't worry, I got you some new tenants. They're a couple, and they're really good people. If y'all been watching Triangle Secret Storm, y'all know the real tea about Logan and Gary. Just saying. You know, so, and we definitely saw in the first episode of Triangle Secret Storm where, you know, Jabril actually, you know, leased the space to the two of them. But I'm like, yeah, if only you knew how crazy that situation is between Logan and Gary. Just putting it out there. So he definitely tapped on that they're good people. And then this actually prompts Brandon to ask what happened to Alex. So if anything, Jabril is now put in the seat where he has to be open and honest about what's going on. So he lets him know that, look, after what happened, yeah, I took Alex somewhere and I tortured the living hell out of him. And he's like, Jabril, really? He's like, look, this asshole needed to pay for what he did to you. I was pissed off. He got you on drugs, and I wanted him to suffer. And Brandon was like, well, he didn't get me on drugs. I got myself on drugs, which is showing that, yeah, Brandon is now taking ownership of the situation, which is good. But then Jabril was like, yeah, but he created the situation where you became vulnerable and you got on drugs, and yet he began to manipulate you because you were on drugs. So he's like, yeah, that asshole need to pay for what he did. So yeah, I messed him up. And, you know, Brandon was like, is he still in Easton? He's like, oh, hell no, he ain't in Easton. He's somewhere where I sent him, and he's being looked after. And then, like, Brandon is like, oh, my God, really? He's like, yeah. But then Brandon's response is like, look, I want to see him. He's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. And Brandon's like, no, I want to see him because, if anything, Brandon was at first was like, yo, if I see that Alex, I will fuck him up. He's like, well, I got you because I've already done that for you. But then Brandon was like, look, I really want to see him because I want to know why he did this. I want to know, and if anything, Brandon wants closure to that situation. So pretty much the bro was like, look, let me think about it, you know. But he's like, I don't want to get you involved in this. But then Brandon lets him know, like, look, we're a team. It's us against the world. And it's not just you're in this, we're in this. And I was like, wow, that is fucking awesome. Even in the dark treachery side of things, they both see eye to eye. So it's definitely apparent that Brandon and Jabril are meant for each other. And Brandon definitely knows the man he married. And this was really apparent because, if anything, it was kind of shocking to Jabril that Brandon was really open to all of this information, that, yo, he's literally torturing the shit out of Alex. And we saw this in the end of season 3 of Triangle. But it's great because we now see that Brandon and Jabril are now in a even better place than before. They've now made a breakthrough where they now can be open and honest with each other, and they don't have to hide. You know, they don't have to hide anymore. Because the funny thing about it is that not only was Brandon hiding things and internalizing things, Jabril was also doing the same thing, and now they both are being open and transparent. So it was actually beautiful. And that's what I have, everybody. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you had anything you'd like to say about this episode, please leave it in the comments. I'd definitely like to hear your thoughts. But that's what I have. But definitely subscribe to brtbtv.com. If you have not done so, you need to do it right now, because there is some great work and great things coming out of BRTB TV, and you need to hop on now. If you haven't hopped on before, you need to hop on right now. So, and I will have that link in the description box, brtbtv.com. Also, check out the Triangle Fan Club on Facebook. You get everything Triangle. You get, different discussions about the episodes. You get, commentary from some of the cast. And we also get updates from the creator Susan Williams on Triangle Fan Club as well. So brtbtv.com as well as the Triangle Fan Club. Do it now. Also, subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. I've also started a GoFundMe account. You can find that link in the description box as well. Also, like this video, share this video, and comment on this video. And I will be back with the next episode of Triangle Blue Velvet. So until then, everybody, take care.